Okay, so I don't have a script for this video. I am just making this video for my future self, I think, and also maybe to also help people like me who are I won't really say beginner coding, but like maybe are picking up React Native for the first time and they may not have the fullest experience in programming. So this is basically the story of how I kind of like made a calculator app with React Native, and I'll talk about how I did it and the challenges I faced while trying to build the calculator app. And I streamed some of especially the beginning part of the process. I streamed it on YouTube too. So I I was thinking I'll take clips from there and put it in the video, but I think I'm just going to be lazy and won't do that. So a little bit about myself in relation to this React Native project is that I'm a React developer. I have experience building front-end app with React.js and Next.js. I'll say that's about like the most basic thing I can tell you about myself based on React. Like I can build React app basically. Yes. So I started working for a startup company and I'm to work on React Native. I'm to work on the React Native project in the company. So I'm working on building the app itself and implementing the design by the UX team. So I started working on React Native projects in the company, and just so I get more comfortable working React Native, because everyone has always told me if you know React, it's easy to pick up React Native. So I decided to start by building small React Native apps first. Then that way like I build muscle memory to working in React Native. So I started with the calculator app, which is this one you're seeing now, which is this calculator app right here. And first of all, one thing I learned, okay, this is how I started learning how to use React Native. I first of all went to, yes, I actually went to React Native documentation, to be honest, first. I started with React Native documentation, and React Native told me like I kind of read through this documentation, but they mentioned something about they recommended using Expo. Yes, so they recommended using Expo, which is a tool to which you could use to build React Native, which is kind of similar to using Next.js, something like that. Yes, so on React Native documentation, I was recommended to use Expo. That was when I went through to Expo's documentation. Let me just see here. Expo docs. But I typed docs. Okay. Yes. So I came to Expo documentation and I did the basic tutorial because Expo has a tutorial for you to just go through. I can't remember where it is, but I did the Expo tutorial first. And that like got me to understand the very little basics of Expo and React Native. Then I decided to now build a calculator app. But how would I build this calculator app? And let's go back to the code. Okay, I'm back. So how did I start building the app after reading the documentation was I just did the basic start your Expo project. I wonder why I closed the tab. Let me reopen it. I just did the basic stuff, create a project, all of that. And yeah, the first thing I learned was Safe Area View. And what Safe Area View does is that because different phones have like how Apple has the dynamic island and the notches, it just makes sure all your contents aren't are within the safe area of the screen. They are not blocked by a notch or something like that. That was the first thing I learned. I got to learn about the view component, which is basically like div. Basically like a div, but for React Native. And yeah. So let me see. What can I go through here? Um, so actually, the what I learned the most on React Native and where I faced a lot of challenges was styling. And I got to learn that, oh, just look at everything in React Native is kind of like a flex box. and you use so you mostly give it like flex of one just takes the whole width or the whole space there. Then let's say oh fuck. I don't know how to explain. I struggle to explain. But styling was one of the challenges I faced, and I got to understand about flex, which is why I wrote top half of the page, which is where I have this hamburger. This top half. I gave it a I looked at it as okay, I want this to take the top half of the screen, but it's one out of three. Then the bottom part of the screen, I want it to take two out of two out of three. So basically, let's say you have flex one. Let's say you have let me just type here. Let's say you have three components. Yeah, three components, and you give each of them like a flex of one each. They will take equal spaces on they'll take equal space on the page, right? But if you give one of them, let's say you give one of them, let's say we have three, uh, I give the last component a flex of two. It will take two out of four space of the screen, while the other so we have three components, right? The first two, I give them flex of one. They'll take equal space as 1/4, 1/4. And the last component, I give a flex of two to take 2/4 of the screen. Something like that. Something like that. Yes. So let's now move to how I made these buttons. And that's in the components here. Let's see. Yeah, really. So for the buttons, I used let's see. Okay, this is the initial components. Yeah. Okay. So for the buttons, I use the pressable component. That was what I saw in the tutorial. So I use the pressable component. And though some people use touchable as well. I haven't like found the difference between them. But I use the pressable component, and I learned about getting this library to get the width and height dimensions actually. Okay, so making the button itself wasn't the problem. My problem was making all the button. I want to have like four buttons on the screen. So initially, I was thinking of doing like using the map function to and then styling and like styling it after. I was thinking of just using the map function to render all the buttons in a loop because I have wait, so sorry, data. So these are the like data of the buttons, right? So they're basically just strings. And I just give them like different type, like oh the regular numbers are like primary type and stuff like that. Then let's go back. One sec. So my first issue was how do I like render these buttons to have a column to have four columns actually because the calculator app and the iPhone has four columns. When I used so that's where this comes in. That's this container. Initially, I used the use map. I used the map function to render all the buttons on the screen, but I was struggling to style them. And that was where I got to learn about flat lists. But before, yeah, that's where I got to learn about flat lists. So I went to the documentation, I read about flat lists, and it became easier to just render all the documents. And what made me use flat lists was because it actually had this number of columns props. So I just set number of columns props to four, I set it to five, and one sec. I don't know why I did that. But I set it to four and it works. You can also like disable scrolling as well, which is what I did there. Then what was the next thing? So every time you click on the button, I kind of use the use state to render it here on this output view here. And I also incurred an issue here as well. Let me just go there. One second. Um, okay, yeah, that's just output view. So for the output view, I just wanted to like render whatever happens on screen here and to render it in this output view. I used the use states to I shared a state between the button and the output view itself. So the challenge I faced here initially was, let's say I type a long number. One sec. Okay. Let's say I type a long number, right? 555. And I want to scroll through them. I want to scroll through them. Because I was going to use a scroll view. I used a scroll view initially. The problem with scroll view is when I try to scroll through the numbers, it doesn't work properly. And in the documentation, in React Native's documentation, flatlist was set to um be more efficient than the scroll view, which is also why I used flat view here as well. And I have to style it to start from the end, which is here. I said start from the end. Okay, then let's now go back to index. Mm, And on the index, I just did that like an undo press function just to um one sec. Yeah. So I just did like an undo press function here, which basically just listens for any click. So then I check what key is being clicked on. One second. GR. Yeah. So I pass that to the button container itself, which passes it down to the button itself too as well. And yeah, nothing much here. Nothing much here. So sorry I started explaining. I just wanted to make this video for my future self. Okay. Yes. Thanks for watching. But right now, what I'm currently working on right now is, since I like did the um calculator up already, I am planning to clone IG Instagram. Oh shit, what is this? No. Yes. Hold on one sec. MPX star. So I'm planning to clone the Instagram app. I just started last night. And what I've learned so far is tabs. Using because in the calculator app, it's just a single page. There's no need to use stack screen or even touch the layout at all. So this time around, I'm touching the layout and I'm getting to learn about. I just did this just last night before sleeping. So this is what I'm working on. Hopefully, I'll be able to explain that one better. But for now, just listen to my rants while I talk about the calculator. Just watch this failed attempt video of me talking about making a calculator app. I don't know how to explain, but I do know how to explain. That's the funny thing. But I just busted it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and yeah, just do whatever you like doing. Wonderful time.